I'm Sara Walker, and I have spent basically my entire adult life working on issues of justice reform and how to better work with our criminal justice community. And I've done this because, like many kids of color, when I went to college, I wanted to address racial and class inequality. And what I found was that unfortunately our justice system was capturing all of the inequalities in our system. If you didn't have good access to mental health care, drug treatment, if you had poor education, you were more likely to end up in our justice system. And so I wanted to look for solutions. And so I've spent my life working with people who are reentering from prison and jail and working with law enforcement and corrections to come up with solutions to address this problem. Because unfortunately what we know is that, especially in Minnesota, 98% of people who go to jail or prison, they come back out into the system. So what matters is what we do when they're in there. It really does matter what we do in there, and it matters how the community accepts them and how the community engages them and how they're treated at each step of the process in the justice system. And of course, for me, the sheriff and the law enforcement community is of the most importance because they're the first ones who come in contact with an offender. And what we want is we want the best trained and law enforcement possible, and we want people who understand that working with the community and developing public trust is critical to having an effective approach to public safety. There are some very interesting work going on, and what we know is that if someone has a mental problem, so in prison, for example, 60% of people are diagnosed with a mental illness. And so what we want to make sure is that that mental illness is identified while they're in jail. And if that is identified, we want to come up with a case plan that can help when they bridge that gap from the transition when they come out. And there are many community providers who are working on this. And there are creative ways to do this, and the recidivism rate falls. And that one, reduce the cost, it keeps the community safe, because someone who's mentally ill and cycling through the system, that is not going to be safe. That means they often end up homeless on the streets, and I don't think anyone wants that. It's also those are the things businesses look at when they come and make decisions about where they're going to locate. In the past decade, Minnesota's rate of incarceration in jail has increased. We are now one of the fastest growing populations. Minnesota does have a history of using jail and prison in a more limited way than nationally. But that being said, we have the fourth highest rate of individuals on probation in the nation. And the thing is that the crime rate hasn't changed. In fact, crime rate has fallen. We've just become more punitive, and we punish people for longer and for harsher sentences. It's expensive to keep people in jail and prison. And we know that jail is usually the first avenue before they go into a long prison sentence. And what I know that Matt Bostrom says is that he wants the community to come in. When someone comes to him, when they've made a mistake, he wants to leave them better than they came in. And I think that should be the goal of the community. And honestly, our public safety system, right now, the cost of it and the way it's impacting individuals, we've created a state of perpetual punishment. And if we keep this up, it doesn't just threaten those individuals, but those individuals are linked to families and communities. And what we want to restore the community. We don't want to harm it. Restoring the community and giving a message of civic inclusion is one that will actually benefit and make us all safer and help reduce the economics of it. I think Matt Bostrom will be the best sheriff because, one, I think it's time for a change. I think the trust of the community has been jeopardized over the past decade, and I think that needs to be restored. And I believe that Matt Bostrom is someone who will work with the community, when he is there, when people are touched by the system, they will leave better off than when they came in.